What's going on, dude and dudettes out there in the amped up land? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and open with the pun this time. So, looking over here on the charts, we had talked about the possibility of breaking this all-time high right here. What was that, yesterday? I believe that was yesterday. And as you'll see, we had a couple candles close up above the all-time high here. The only problem was... Sorry, my dog's a little bit excitable right now. It needs me to throw her bouncy ball around. The only problem we had was immediately after those closes, we started getting downward price action. We tested again, downward price action. We tested again, downwards price action. We could never get consecutive candle closes above that all-time high. Now, is that bearish? Not in the least. We saw this level briefly. Very briefly, I'm looking at the 4 hour over here. Let's switch it to the 1 hour just to illustrate the points. Oh, no boy. That snapped us way back there. Let's zoom this way out. Change over to the hourly. Apologies for doing this on the fly here. I figured TradingView have a slightly smarter interface, but apparently not. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick to the 4 hourly. Back in the beginning phases of AMP here. Right, so it was not, AMP didn't even spend 4 hours up here at the 1.4 cent range, right? But that was the all-time high, and that posts a very strong psychological resistance line. Especially after we've spent a lot of gas trying to launch our way up here through several fib retracement zones over the past few days. And so what I'm seeing here is nothing concerning. It's been a fight against the all-time high. We've had really triple top breakout up there, which a lot of times in some of these smaller cap altcoins, that does tend to be a pretty good indicator that the fourth, in altcoins, in my experience, the fourth time is a charm, is the way to put it, right? You test, you fail. You test, you fail. You test, you fail. You test, you break. And so I wanted to point that out because that kind of lines up with what we're seeing right here. The terribly drawn, I apologize, roughly symmetrical triangle. If you draw the vertical line down from here, it's about symmetrical. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Clean it up a little bit, just for the prettiness factor. So we're about halfway through this very short-term symmetrical triangle. If you kind of measure it from here, it looks much more symmetrical than drawing here. I drew this back for a little bit more of substantiation of that support line, even though we got another pretty close back test here. So you'll see that we've been oscillating pretty well inside of this triangle. And generally symmetrical triangles like this are a continuation pattern. And as you know, the pattern has very much been bullish over the past few days. So my expectation is generally it's around this region, the last half, really the last third of the symmetrical triangle is typically if there's going to be a strong breakout where you see that strong breakout. So my expectation right now, I wanted to get you guys kind of a quick short-term video here because it's Friday night. I've had one gin and tonic, and I assume you guys have done the same, and I wanted to update my friends in Ampland. So my expectation moving forward here is we're definitely going to see a little bit more downside, but expect over the next hour to bottom out around 1.16 cents. Potentially in 2 hours or so, bottom out about 1.17, kind of in that ballpark. If it's a little bit below, it could be a fake out. And expect to see us continue wicking inside of this triangle. So just to give you a little bit of reference, let's say 8 hours from now would be 5 plus 8 is 13. 8 hours from now, the top of this triangle is going to be about 1.366 cents. Bottom will be about 1.185 or so. Though this triangle is the oscillation I'm looking for, and the expectation would be we've had our triple top where we really did our best. It's not obviously not a head and shoulders descending highs. We've had 3 attempted breakouts, each one sputtering out a little bit lower on the all-time high, right? And we've painted a symmetrical triangle here. And so, my expectation is if we trade it inside this symmetrical triangle and we go ahead and get a breakout at some point over here, let's go ahead and, take a look at kind of the scope of this triangle here of about 34, about 34%. Let's say we had a breakout, kind of pattern down here, start coming up, pattern down, have a breakout somewhere around here, maybe, right? 34.5%. Oops. If you expect that symmetrical triangle to kind of paint its tail, that throws us way up here inside this Fibonacci level. And that to me would be incredibly strong confirmation that, we've broken all-time highs. And then I would expect either a bull pennant, a bull flag, a symmetrical triangle, some other sort of consolidation pattern up here above the all-time high before we then started moving further upward. So I'm still incredibly bullish, and I think we're going to see some consolidation over the next, before, midday of February 7th, Sunday, American time, although this is tracking in UTC. So before midday UTC, I would expect, well, absolutely 100% expect some sort of breakout to the upper downside. More likely, I would expect this to happen sometime morning to early afternoon tomorrow. That's my call, and I'm feeling very bullish, even though we've just had several pumps in a row. That triple top above the all-time high, followed by a symmetrical triangle. I'm just going to go ahead and draw in the vertical line here, and you'll see it's very close to a symmetrical triangle. A little bit higher on the upside, might be a little bit more bullish actually. So in a way, it almost sort of creates a falling wedge if you want to paint it that way, but not really. But either way, extremely bullish, and I think over the next day or two, we're poised to see another pump. Provided, let me go ahead and check on my Blockfolio where the general market sentiment's at. Yeah, Bitcoin trading at 39,000 right now. Ethereum retraced back down to 1651, but it's higher than it was a couple days ago. In general, I think next 24 hours, to quote the old meme about Bitcoin, the next 24 hours are critical for AMP token. Not really, guys. The next 24 hours are going to decide if we retrace down, back down to about the 1 cent range, or if we continue into a blue sky breakout, at which point we need to start talking fundamentals, and maybe we'll start stepping through some coin valuation and, trying to determine some price targets. So that's about all I have for you today, guys. Have a good one.